I told myself I wasn't going to do this video, but my gut feeling told me that I had to do this video. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain how I survived 2017 with my cancer and all. But I have to go back to some points that kind of relate to this, which is really kind of scary. In 2015, my family friend died of an asthma attack. He was only like 22 or 23. That was really freaking hard. I just wanted to die too. And then, even though I wasn't that close, but then in 2016, I had a handful of people I knew died. And I don't even know how I went to work every day. I guess I try to see death as a positive thing. Like, they went to heaven, everything's better, they don't have to deal with the future Armageddon or whatnot. So then I was like, why am I stuck on Earth? Blah. And then I moved into a nice house, got engaged, whatever. And then I was kind of sick towards 2016, like December after Christmas, and they kept saying I had the flu, I had pneumonia, I had sinusitis, and I missed 3 weeks of work. That was really freaking hard to deal with. And then finally, New Year's, we were partying and everything, and we were drinking even though I was sick. I had trouble breathing. I was like, oh my God, I'm having trouble breathing. And then I was coughing a lot, and next thing I know, I'm getting admitted. I think it was like a couple days after that or something. And they were like, at first they were like, yeah, there's a 50-50 chance that you might have lymphoma cancer. And I was like, oh my God, what the F? Like, that's so freaking random. Like, how could that happen to me? Because usually I say, no, this ain't going to happen. No. But the truth is, we don't know our own fate. We just think we're in control of everything. The truth is, we're not in control of anything, you know? It's like whatever God has planned or however the universe works, we're not always in control, which is really frustrating because I'm kind of a control freak. I would like to think that I dictate my own life, I pick my own work schedule, this and that. That's not the case all the time. Um, Next thing I know, after that, I'm getting hospitalized, and yeah, it was awful. And they were like, I have to transfer you. And then another thing, at this time I had broken up with my fiance because he was hanging out with his brother. Then he went to prison. Then I did background check and I figured out why he went to prison, which I'm not going to say. It was really awful. Like, I wanted to throw up, not because I just had cancer still, and it's just because it was so awful. Like, what he did, I can't even say. And the fact that he lied about his age, I thought I was engaged to a 28-year-old. And at this time, I'm only 22. And he was actually like 35. And it was really disgusting. I was like, oh my God, like, what the hell? So anyways, fast forward to that. I'm going through all this stuff. Like, I went through the bone marrow test and it was nothing like I imagined. They gave me 6 numbing shots and I felt that, and they were like, okay, we're going to go in for your hip now and we can't numb it, so it's going to hurt really bad. Next thing I know, the doctor's like, hey, do you want to see your bone? And I'm like, what do you mean? You didn't take out a bone. All you did was, like, injected me with a shot or whatever. And he's like, no, we took your bone out through the shot. And I'm like, what? How's that possible? And he's like, your bone, we took this little bitty bone like this out. And I said, why'd you do that? For testing. And I said, well, what's going to happen to me, And he's like, another bone is going to replace the bone that I took, and it's going to take a week to replace. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I feel like this is like sci-fi or something. So he said it's only going to hurt. My back was going to hurt for 3 days. It actually hurt longer than that, a whole freaking week. Next thing I know, I have to get surgery on my neck because my neck was swollen and I had this huge lymph node. It was like size of like a tennis ball or something. I don't know. Because I was having trouble eating or drinking because I had like 4 or 5 lymph nodes swollen, like in my belly, one on my neck, and one in my esophagus. So anytime I threw up something whole, which was really gross and disgusting. So for like 3 days, I didn't eat. I couldn't eat. Like, everything was just like getting thrown up. Another part was the doctor telling me I had to do chemo. I didn't want to do chemo because I was like, there's all these treatments. It's 2017. Like, why should I do this? And they're like, well, for this cancer, you're going to have to do it. And then all I saw was death in his eyes. I saw death in my mom's eyes. And I knew my mom could not deal with another death. So I decided to live for her. I mean, I was like 50-50. I was like, I can either die and I can be seeing my family friend and I can see my family and this and that. And I thought it was my fate to die because my friend was the same age as me. How I am now, I'm on my deathbed, the same age he was. So I was like, well, this is my destiny. I'm going to go. And then I had this dream, and it was like God telling me, you're gonna live whether you like it or not. And that's when I was like blown away, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess I'm gonna do the chemo, and I'm gonna, toughen this out and do it. And at first, I was getting sick, I was throwing up, I was in so much pain, like I couldn't hardly. The only farthest part I can walk was to the bathroom, which was really hard to do. It's nothing like those commercials where they say, oh, I have cancer, I'm gonna go horseback riding, do everything on my bucket list, blah blah blah. You can't do that. Like, not every person with cancer is like that. I was at stage 4, which was really hard. It didn't go like 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like, bam, 4. You're on your deathbed. It was like, what? It's just weird. Next thing you know, you're working, doing everything you're supposed to do. And the next thing you know, you have freaking cancer and you're on your deathbed and you're doing chemo and you're going through all these freaking surgeries and you're like, what the freak is going on right now? And I was delusional through most of it. The phase, like chemo brain or something, that's a true phase. You'll just have like these moments where you forget stuff and then you remember later, and then your handwriting gets really bad and whatnot. And that part was really insane. And then I found out that I was B positive, and I went through 6 blood transfusions. Like, that's literally how bad I was. And I had surgery to get a port, a little plastic silicone circle looking thing. It's so they can put IVs through your chest, because I had rolling veins, so I kept getting bruises. So they couldn't do that anymore, so everything was going through my chest. And then I had what is it called? A stent. It's where they put, like, I don't know what the phrase is. They put like these 2 IVs through your hands, but something else is attached to it. I can't really explain it right about now, but that was really awful too. And then I had family and some friends visit me in the hospital, and my hospital food was really disgusting. And sometimes my family would bring me other food and stuff. That was great. And I was really bored going back and forth from being home, being in the hospital. I went through 6 rounds of chemo, which I thought, okay, that's easy. Like, I thought 1 round is like 1 bag of chemo. No, 1 round of chemo is 5 bags of chemo. And that took me over a week to do the first round. And so once a month for 1 week, I would get admitted into the hospital and I'd have to do this. Well, for a while, my medicine wasn't working and things were getting really, really hard to do. I was getting really, really frustrated. So I asked my doctor if I could get a medical marijuana card. And he said, no, I don't think I can do that because I don't know if it's legal in Oklahoma. So he said, what I can do is I can prescribe you this pill that has weed in it called Marinol. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So then I got put on Marinol, and I was like really delusional for 12 hours out of the day. I couldn't function, but I was happy because I wasn't feeling any pain, and I was not abusing my medicine. I would only take it if I was in pain. So I was taking that, and my doctor was like, even if you smoke weed, it's not going to matter. Even when I look at your blood tests and everything else, I just want you to get better, He wasn't like, he was a really cool doctor, So I went through that and everything, and my spleen was also swollen, which was really, really hard. My skin was turning yellow, and I was glowing. Like, I was getting darker and darker and, like, almost turning brown. And my friends that would come up to visit me in the hospital, they'd be like, your skin is glowing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's because of my spleen. I don't really have perfect skin. It was kind of shocking because they said there was a chance that I would get acne during the chemo, and I thank God I didn't have acne. I know it's weird. It's like, okay, you're dying and you're freaking worried if you're going to get freaking acne. I'm like, yeah, because I already was looking ratchet because I had my head shaved, and this is actually a blonde wig that I'm wearing because my hair hasn't grown back all the way. But yeah, they were like, you're worried about acne? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's not like common sense or anything, but it's like, Okay, I'm already going through cancer. I'm already doing chemo. My head's already shaved. There's no way I can handle acne right now. I'll just be like too freaking pissed off. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. And my faith became stronger. And I have this ability where I can see spirits and angels and like loved ones who passed on, And I would just be listening to them and seeing like what they say about everything. And oh, there's something else I wanted to mention what happened to me, and I'm just trying to think, what was it? Something else. Oh yeah, the doctor. He was like, I hate to tell you this awful news, but I'm afraid you might not be able to have babies because of all the chemo that you've went through. And I was so happy. I don't plan on having any kids unless I adopt them anyways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you think that's bad news? And I was dancing a little bit in my bed. I was like so happy. And he looked at me as if I was like the evilest person he's ever seen in his life. Like you can see death in his eyes, and he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm only 22. Like, why the freak would I be devastated? I'm trying to fight for my life. Do you think I'm able to even think about the future and freaking think about having kids? Like, no. I'll just be happy that I'm freaking alive. Why am I gonna be thinking about the future if I'm gonna pop out any kids anytime soon? So, yeah, definitely. I got done with that. I was really happy, ecstatic. And then some moments I'll be depressed, and people are like, how can you be depressed after you beat cancer? Like, how does that even work? Because you have so many expectations. You're like, I have a bucket list. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go back to work. And if things are taking longer than usual, you get frustrated, especially when you're broke and everything. So it's not that easy, said and done. And then there's a bunch of resting and gaining your muscle back. And I had to start working out, and it was a slower process than I thought. And so far, I've been like 3 or 4 months cancer free, and I getting a work release paper to go back to work, which I'm gonna be really happy. I'm gonna start out part time, gonna go back to my old job. I'm gonna be really, really happy. And so I just figured I would tell you the story and tell you never lose faith, always be positive, and never say never, and just, if you lost something, you can regain it, and that's what I've been going through. And that's all I can say is you can always gain it back, and never give up.